Alright, so welcome back everyone, and today we are going to be building this instant chat application. And as you can see, this is the final project, really clean. Alright, and of course this will be responsive. And as you can see, we have this beautiful bubble chat here. Okay, and we are going to use feed to generate the React application, and for the styling we are going to use Daisy UI. So this Daisy UI is basically written by Tailwind CSS. So as you can see, when I click the components, as you can see here, let's click the alert. We can use this alert class here. Okay, so basically we can put any Tailwind CSS right here if you want to add some styling on it. And also we are going to use Firebase to store the data. And also I'm going to showing you how we can use Google authentication in this project. So if I click logout and I'm going to log in with another account. So let's select this Chandev here and I'm going to click that. So now as you can see, we log in with the Chandev account and I can say, hi people. So I can hit enter and as you can see, it's immediately posted right here. If I click logout and log in with another account, it should be showing the message as well. So as you can see right here, right, we get the hey people right here. Alright, that's what we're going to be building, guys. Hopefully this is helpful and let's get started. Alright, so the first thing what we need to do is let's create a folder. So I'm going to do mkdir make directory and I'm going to call this instant-chat. So let's go to the folder. So I'm going to say cd into instant-chat. Alright, so inside in here I'm going to open that into Visual Studio Code. All right, and let's close that out. And in here, I'm going to generate a React application with feed. So I can say npm create feed at lettuce, right? And say /. Let's select React and also JavaScript, and we can say npm install to install all the dependency. After it's done, we can run it with npm run dev. All right, it's done. So let's do npm run dev. And it should be open the localhost 5173, and this is what we have in the first time. All right, so now let's remove a couple of files that we don't need. So I'm going to remove the asset here, the styling, let's remove that, and let's open the main. I think it's fine. Let's go to, I think we are going to remove all this style, and also inside this app.css. app.jsx, we need to remove all this div here. So let's remove that. And here we are going to put just app, and I'm going to remove this class here. All right. And also let's remove this state, the CSS, the logo, this use state, everything look really clean. And as you can see, we just have app in the browser. All right. So what we need to do first is I'm going to install Tailwind CSS. As you can see here in Daisy UI. So in install here, as you can see, you need to install Node.js and Tailwind CSS install. So let's open this Tailwind CSS, and basically we need to select the framework, and I'm going to use feed. So let's copy this, right? All this command here, and paste that into the terminal here. Let's paste that in here. And hit enter. All right, so after it's done, we have Tailwind config here, and let's open the Tailwind CSS again here and copy this content. So I'm gonna copy that and let's bring in here like that. And also we are going to copy this Tailwind into the CSS. So let's go to index CSS and paste that in here. And what else? So I think we're done. Let's try with this hello world. So I'm gonna copy it. Go to the app here and I'm going to put that right here, and let's do npm run dev. So let's see how it's going to be work if I refresh. So I think we don't yet save this file, and after I save, and as you can see, we have this underline and bold font. So everything look perfectly work. Let's go to the Daisy UI, and now we need to install the Daisy UI with npm. So let's go back here, and I'm going to do npm install Daisy UI. All right. After it's done, so we need to put this plugin. So let's copy that. Go to this Tailwind config, and we need to put that right here. Okay. So let's go to button here, and I'm going to try to use this button. So let's click that out. So let's see in the JSX here, basically we need to just have a class name called button. So I'm gonna copy this. Let's go back here and into the app, and I'm gonna put that right here. So let's try. So I'm gonna do npm run dev. So let's see in the browser. If I save, and as you can see, we have this button with animation when I click that. Okay. So basically, you successfully install Tailwind and also the Daisy UI in our Feed React application here. Okay, so everything look perfectly good now. So now let's start to coding. In the final project, as you can see here, we have two pages, right? The first time in the room chat here, and also this login page. What we need to do is create the pages folder. So let's go to the source, and I'm going to say pages. So the first time is going to be login. So let's do login.jsx, and also I'm going to call that chat room. Let's say chatroom.jsx. In here, I'm going to say rifce, and also for the login, let's say rifce. Okay. So the first thing is I'm going to styling the login first. So let's close this, and let's bringing the login into the app.jsx here. So we can remove everything here, and let's put the login like so. Okay, so of course we need to import the login. I don't know, the suggestion is not working, so let's do import. And basically I'm going to import the login from /pages and then /login. Okay, if I save, and we should be able to see login here. So in this login component, I'm going to use hero component come from the Daisy UI. So let's go to hero, this one. So let's click that, and we're going to use this styling here. So you can use any styling you want. As you can see, it's pretty nice. And I'm going to use this one. So let's go to JSX, and let's copy all of that. And let's go back here, and we are going to paste that in here. Okay, just like that. I'm going to say format document to make it look nice. As you can see, everything look nice. So if I save that, and here we go. Let's zoom out, and nice, right? So let's change a couple things. I'm going to copy this hello there, and let's put it here like so, and also this text here. So let's copy that and paste that in here as well. And also for the text login with Google, so let's typing that login with Google. Let's save that, and let's try to refresh here. And as you can see, we done with the login page. And now let's working with the navbar, I think, right? So let's create another folder. I'm gonna call that components. And inside this components folder, I'm going to create a file called navbar.jsx. And in here, let's do rifce, and I'm going to render the navbar into the app.jsx. So we can say navbar like so. And let's save. Let's take a look. We should see this navbar here. All right. Now let's go back to the Daisy UI, and let's go to the navbar here. And I'm going to looking for the dark color. So let's scroll down, and I'm going to use this one. So I think we can just copy that. Let's copy this, and let's put that into the navbar. Let's do it in the navbar here, but I'm going to put right here. All right. So like that. And if I save, we should be able to see navbar here. Okay. Nice, right? But I'm going to wrap this navbar with container. So let's first create a container. I'm going to create a class here called container wrap. Okay. So in here, I'm going to create, let's say apply, and I'm going to do container, and also the mx, I'm going to say auto, and also the maximal width, I'm going to set it to 4xl. Okay. And I'm going to use this container wrap class into the navbar. So let's go back here, and I'm going to do right here. Okay, just like that. I save, and as you can see, here we go. So basically what we need to do is I'm going to put all the class. So let's copy all of this, cut that out and put it right here. So I'm going to do class name and paste that in here. Okay, and also I have one button right here called logout. So let's create that. So I'm going to do button. So it's going to be logout. So if I save, as you can see, it's right here. I'm going to push the button here to the right side so I can use flex. So I can say display flex. And also I'm going to justify between. All right. If I save, and as you can see, we have this button logout in the right side. All right, everything look pretty nice. So let's change this text here to instant chat. Let's save that and let's see. Here we go. And also for the color here, I'm going to use dark color. So let's go back to the login and I'm going to remove this button primary. So let's remove that. And here we go. All right. I think we're done with this login page. I'm going to close this and I'm going to comment this login. And basically I'm going to create another pages here called chat room. We have this one, right? So let's import that right here. So I'm going to say chat room like that. Now we should see chat room. Okay, so let's styling this chat room. So in this chat room here, basically we have two components. So let's see the final project. We have two components. The first time is the chat box, and then we have the send messages. Let's see here. I'm going to log in so you can see what I mean. Let's choose this account and let's see. The first thing is we have the chat box, which is all the text that render up here. Let's see this one. Okay, all this text here is basically chat box component, and also this one, this chat down here is basically the send messages class. So let's go back here and I'm going to create another component called let's do chat box. I'm going to say chatbox.jsx, and also I'm going to create the send message. So let's do send message.jsx. All right, so let's do rfce, and we are going to do inside the text box as well, like that. And inside this chat room, we are going to render the chat box. All right, and also the send message. Let's do send message like that. So if I save, and as you can see, we have chat box and send message. So the first time we need to styling the send message first. Let's add class name here, and I'm going to change the background to gray 200, and also the position, it should be fixed. And also the position, I want to put that into bottom 0, and also the width, let's do full, and also the padding vertically, I'm going to do 10. Also for the shadow, I'm going to use large. Okay, so if I save that and let's take a look, right, as you can see, this is what we have in the footer here. So let's give a form. So I'm going to remove this send messages and I'm going to use form. So let's do form. I'm going to remove the action. Okay, so inside this form I have input field and also the button. So let's do button, and the text, it should be send. All right, so now I'm going to wrap this form with container wrap. So let's do here, I'm going to add class name, and then it should be container wrap. Okay, and it should be like that. And also in this input, I'm going to add class name called input. If I save, as you can see, we have beautiful input here. Let's add another class here, and I'm going to put the width into full, and also the focus. When I focus on this input, I'm going to remove the outline. So let's do outline to none. And also I'm going to change the background to gray 100. And also the rounded, I'm going to do rounded right into none. So if I save, and as you can see here, and as you can see in the left we have the rounded, but in the right we don't have that. Okay, so now we need to put this send button into the right here. So let's do flex in this form. Let's say flex. Okay, so now we have this button right here. and let's styling that. So we can say class name. The width, I'm gonna set that to auto, and also the background, I'm gonna say gray and then 500. And also for the text, I'm gonna set that to white. Let's say white, and also the rounded, I'm gonna do rounded right into large. Let's take a look here. This is what we have. And also I'm going to add, let's do padding horizontally to, let's do 5, and also the text, let's do small. If I save, and this is what we have. All right, this look pretty good. So now let's handle the input value. So let's go back here, and I'm going to create a state first. So I'm going to say cons. I'm going to give a name value and set value. Set equals to use state. Okay, by default it should be empty string. So let's put the value into this input. So I'm going to say value, set that equals to value. And also here we need to handle the onChange event. OnChange set that equals to, we grab the event, and then we can say set value to e.target.value. All right, so now if I console log the value, and when I save, and let's take a look in the console. So now as you can see, every time I make a change here, we get the value in the console. Okay, pretty good. So basically here I'm going to say type to submit, and also here I'm gonna do on submit event. So let's do on submit set equals to handle, let's say handle send message. All right, so let's create the function. So I'm going to do up here. So we can say cons handle send message that equals to arrow function. And for now, I just want to console log the value. Okay, just like that. So let's open the console again. Okay, and if I type in hello and I hit enter, as you can see, we have the auto reload. So we need to handle the prevent default here. So we can say e.prevent default, and like that. So now I'm gonna say hello, hit enter, we get hello. And also we need to remove this value here. So we can say set value back to empty string. So now if I save that, and let's take a look, if I do hello world, let's say hello world, and if I hit enter, as you can see, it's clean in this input field. But as you can see, I think I'm going to add some padding here, or margin, I think, in the send message. So let's do in this form. So I'm going to add, let's do padding X to maybe 2. If I save, as you can see, we have space here. Okay, just to make it a little bit look nicer. All right, look pretty good. So now let's working with the chat box. So let's open the chat box. I'm going to close all these components. So now we just have text box. In this text box, what we need to do, let's add class name here. So I'm going to class name set equals to the padding bottom. I'm going to set that to 44. And also for the padding top, I'm going to do 20. And I'm going to wrap this with container wrap. And let's put text message here. So I'm going to do message, save, and let's take a look. We have this message here. Okay, as you can see, it's pretty good. And also here, I'm going to hard code the message for the first time. I'm going to do message and set equals to array. And let's put object here. I'm going to do ID to 1 and also the message. And I'm going to say hello there. All right. And also I'm going to add another object here. Let's do ID2. And also for the message, I'm going to say hi. Let's say just hi. All right. So here I'm going to map through the messages. So let's say messages.map. I grab the individual message, and in here I'm going to return component called message. We don't have yet, so let's create that here. So I'm going to do message.jsx, and here I'm going to say rfce, and let's put the message right here. So I'm going to do message like that, and also we need to send the message here. So we can say message set equals to message. All right, so here we are going to put the ID. So we can say key set equals to message.id. All right, so let's go to message here, and I'm going to render the message. So first we need to grab that inside the props, and we need to render that here. We can do message, okay, just like that. So now let's take a look. We have some error in the console, I think. All right, so we cannot render object. That's because here, as you can see, we render the message. We can access that with message.message basically. So we can say message.message, and we are going to get this hello there and hi. So I think I'm going to change that to, for example, text. So let's do text here, and we are going to grab the message.text. All right, just like that. So now let's try to just styling this with the, let's go to this chat bubble here. Let's click that, and I'm gonna use this one here with the image and also the header and the footer here. So let's click the JSX, and basically we need to copy all of this, and let's try to render here. Okay, so I'm going to cut that out and put it here, and I'm going to format the document. So now let's save, and let's take a look. As you can see, that's what we have. The first time is I'm going to let me see here. So I think I'm going to remove this chat end here. So let's remove that. Now we just have chat star. Okay, and also for the, I'm going to remove this time here, and also the chat bubble here. Okay, this one, it should be the text. So let's render the message.text right here. We have the text, right? And also for the username, so let's go back to chat box, and I'm going to add one key here called name. So let's do name, and I'm going to do Chandev. Okay, let's do Chandev here, and also down here I'm gonna do another. So let's do I don't know, just say John Doe. Let's save, and I'm going to render the name right here. So we can cut that out and put the message.name. Okay, so now we have the name, and also I'm gonna remove this deliver. The image here will come from the Google account. So for now, let's just remove this string here. Okay, and what we need to do next is basically I'm gonna working with React Router DOM. So as you can see in the app here, okay, we are going to render the login into the root, and then the chat room into the localhost / chat. All right, so let's do that. And the first time what we need to do is let's install the React Router DOM. So I'm going to do npm install react-router-dom. Okay, and hit enter, and after it's done, let's run the npm run dev again. And now let's go to the main.jsx, and in here we are going to wrap this app with browser router. So let's do that. Let's say browser router, okay, like so. And also we need to put this app inside this browser router. So let's put that here, just like that. And also inside the app.jsx here, we need to wrap these two components inside the, let's do roads. Okay, so let's say roads come from React Router DOM, and we are going to render road here, okay, for individual road. And in here I'm going to say for the path, let's say /. In here I'm going to render element call, let's render the login here. So I'm going to copy this and paste that in here. Okay, just like that. And also let's copy and paste this, and this is going to be the chat road, and the component that we are going to render here is basically the chat room. Let's cut that out and put it here. Now if I save, and as you can see, now we on the chat. If I remove this chat on the path here, we on the login. But now basically I'm going to wrap this chat room with private road, because I don't want to people not log in to access the chat page here, right? So first, let's create the private road component. So let's go to source folder, and in here I'm going to create folder first called roads, and inside this roads folder I'm going to create a file called, let's say, private road.jsx. all right? So in here I'm going to say rfce. So basically I'm going to just export function here. So let's do export like so we don't need to use export default. And in here I'm going to grab the children. So let's do children, because basically I'm going to wrap this element here with private road. So let's do that here. I'm going to cut that out, and in here I'm going to render the private road like that, and we are going to put the chat room inside in here as a children, right? So it's going to be look like that. So now let's go back to private road, and what we need to do here is basically I'm going to create variable called, let's do current user for now, and I'm going to do false. Okay, so it's going to be cons here, so let's remove it and let's say cons. Just put the false for now, but later on we are going to get the current user come from the authentication. Alright, so now I'm going to return children, let's say children, but here I'm going to add the condition. So if the current user is false, I'm going to return, okay, so I'm going to use navigate. Let's do navigate. I'm from React Router DOM, and I'm going to navigate to /, okay. If user not login, user cannot go to the children here, which is the chat room. Okay, so I'm going to replace to true, okay, like that. So now as you can see, if I go to /chat directly here, if I click enter, we cannot go there. As you can see, we directly go back to the login page. But if I current user is true, okay, meaning if we have already logged in, and if I go to the user, not user, but chat, okay, we can access that. All right. So that's basically what we are going to do with private road. So now let's go to the Firebase. So let's go back here and go to Firebase and click the console. And in here, we are going to create the Firebase project. So I'm going to add the project here, and let's give a name instant chat. All right. So after that, let's continue, and I'm going to disable the Google Analytics here. Let's create project, and it's take a couple minutes or a couple seconds maybe. All right, it's done. Let's click the continue, and we are going to go to this page here, and now we are going to click this web because we are going to create the web app. Let's click the web, and let's do the nickname. I just want to say instant app. All right, not instant app, instant chat app. All right, and let's do register. All right, so the first time what we need to do is let's install the Firebase. So I'm gonna click the copy here, and let's open the terminal and paste that in here. All right, so next I'm going to copy all of this, okay, and let's create another file inside the source here. I'm going to create a file called Firebase. So we can say firebase.jsx, and we are going to paste all of that right here. Okay, so now the Firebase is done here. I'm going to do npm run dev again. So let's go back to the browser and let's click continue to console. So the next thing what we need to do is let's go to authentication, and we are going to select let me go to get started first, and we are going to select the login with Google. So this one, right? There's a lot of option here you can try with your own, but I'm going to select Google for now. Let's do Google and then enable that. And this for the project support email, which is your email, right? And just click save. All right, so now the Google is enabled, and as you can see in the users here, if you log in with this authentication, you will get all the user login inside in here. Get the list of the user. And I'm gonna go to the documentation here. So let's go to the fundamentals. Let's go to web here. Yeah, this web here. Let's click that. So let's scroll down. So as you can see, the first time is we need to install the Firebase. We have already doing that. And the next thing is this one. Okay, we have already doing that as well. And also, let me scroll down, and I'm going to click this authentication with authentication for web. And what we need to do is we need to import get authentication from Firebase/out. So let's copy this, and let's go back, let's scroll it up, and I'm going to paste that in here. Okay, just remove all the comment here, and down here I'm going to export variable called, I'm going to do out, set that equals to get out, and I'm going to put the app right here. So next we are going to create the context API to store the current user value, the login function, and then the logout function. All right, let's first go to source here, and I'm going to create a folder called context, and inside this context I'm going to create a file called let's do out context. All right, .jsx. So in here first I'm going to create the context. Let's say create context, and in here I'm going to, let's say, cons out context, set that equals to create context come from React. And also down here, let's do down here, I'm going to create the provider context. Let's do provider context. Okay, and in here I'm going to export, let's say, cons, and then let's say out provider. Okay, set that equals to is going to be arrow function. Okay, and here we are gonna grab the children. So let's say children, and also down here, basically I'm going to, let's say, return. I'm going to return the out context dot provider. Okay, and the children inside in here. All right. So let's create the current user state here. So I'm going to do cons, give a name current user, and set current user. Okay, that equals to use state. By default, let's just say null, right? And I'm going to send the current user here inside this out context provider. So we can say value, set equals to value. Okay, the value is going to be from here. So let's create the value. So I'm going to say cons value set equals to object, and I'm going to put the current user and also the set current user. All right, let's save that. And down here I'm going to export component called user authentication, set equals to, and in here I just want to return use context. Okay, and put the authentication context right here. Okay, just like that. So now we need to wrap our app with this out provider. All right, so let's go to the app.jsx. So let's wrap all of this with out provider. So we can do out provider. Okay, and also the closing tag as well, out provider. So now we can be able to get the current value, which is this current value here, into the all component inside this out provider. Okay, we can get that into the navbar, we can get the value into the login and also into the chat room. All right, so let's go to login first. So in this login I'm going to get the current user. So let's try to say cons, and then I'm gonna grab the current user, set equals to user out. Okay, just like that. So let's try to console log that. So I'm going to do console log current user. So now we should be able to get null in the browser. So let's try it, see here. All right, so we get some error, I think, because the app is blank here. So require is not defined out context. Let's go back to out context here. Require, why you use require? So I think this should be import. Let's change that to import, and then it should be from React. Let's do from, let's say, React. Okay, so now let's save and let's refresh. As you can see, we get a null here, right? That means we successfully access the out provider. So if I change that to, let's say, John here, so if I save and try, we have this John, right? Everything work. So now let's create the sign in with Google function here. So I'm gonna do sign in with Google. Okay, and basically I'm gonna close this terminal and go back to the documentation, and let's click the Google. So let's scroll down, and the first thing is we need to import the Google out provider. So we can just copy this and we can paste that in here. Okay, just like that. And we need to create variable called provider, and we initialize the Google out provider class here. We can copy that, and we can do inside this sign in function. So we can create the function first. So I'm gonna say sign in with Google. Okay, so that it goes to our function, and down here I'm going to put the provider, and then I'm gonna use, basically you can use the pop-up, I think, sign in with redirect. We are gonna use this one, but you can use the sign in with pop-up, right? But let's use this sign in with redirect. So I'm gonna copy that, let's paste that in here, and basically this is going to become from the Firebase last authentication here, and also inside in here I'm going to put the out. Okay, and also the out here is going to become from the Firebase file. Okay, this one here. Okay, so I think we need to, we don't get the auto import. Yeah, we have that. Okay, this one. And also for the second parameter, it should be the provider, so we can say provider like so. Okay, so now let's send this sign in with Google into this value. So we can say comma and then put the sign in with Google. So now let's try to go to the login, and here what I'm gonna do is inside the button here I'm going to add on click event, and in here I'm going to create a function called handle login. So let's do handle login. So let's create the function. So let's say cons and then handle login, and the function here it should be async await function, so we can say async. Let's do arrow function, and in here I'm going to use try and catch. So let's say try, and then down here we catch, we grab the error. Okay, and if we have some error, I just want to console log the error. Okay, just like that. And up here what we can do is let's grab the sign in with Google first. So let's say sign in with Google, and we can try inside in here. So I'm gonna do await for sign in with Google. Okay, just like that. So now let's try. I'm going to open here and let's see the network. So now if I click this login with Google, as you can see, it's make a request, and as you can see it's open in this account here, and we can select this one here, for example, the enter me. All right, this is successfully login, but how do we know the current user? So let's go back to the authentication context here, and what we need to do is let's create the user flag here. So let's do in here. I'm going to make a comment, and let's say set current user. Okay, set current user. And in here I'm going to create the user flag. Let's do user flag. Let's say arrow function, and this user flag run in the first time, so we need to put the empty array as a dependency. And inside this user flag, what we need to do is let's create a variable called, I'm going to do unsubscribe. Okay, so that equals to on out state change. Okay, and here we grab the out, and then we are going to run the function here. Okay, and basically the user here will be the user that log in. So now in here we can say set current user into user. Okay, just like that. So down here what we need to do is let's just return the unsubscribe, just like that. So now we can console log the current user. So let's try. I'm going to console log current user. Now let's see into the console, and as you can see down here we have this value, and you will see the, let's see here, the email. Okay, the email that login, the display name, the portal URL, and the UID here. Okay, so that's mean now this is successfully login. So now let's go back to the private route, and in here I'm going to grab the current user come from user out. So let's go to a login here, and basically we can just copy this and paste that in here. Okay, we don't need to use sign in with Google here, so let's remove that. Let's import the use out here. Okay, and when I save, let's refresh. Okay, everything will work. And now let's go back to login, and in here I'm going to run userfaq. So let's do userfaq, and let's try to add dependency. The dependency should be the current user. Okay, if we have current user, we need to redirect this login page into the chat route. Okay, so here I'm going to check if the current user have a value. I'm going to navigate that into the /chat. So first I'm going to create a variable called navigate. So that equals to, I'm going to use navigate hook come from the React Router DOM. Okay, and I'm going to put the navigate right here. So let's say navigate and then /chat. Okay, so now as you can see we on the chat now. Let's go back to login, but as you can see after a couple seconds should be redirect me to the chat path here. Okay, so the login is successfully done now, and I'm going to try to make this logout button work. So let's go back to out context, and we need to create the sign out with Google. Not with Google, but basically you can use this sign out with any authentication you want. You can use the sign out function to email with password or any other authentication you want. So let's create a function. So I'm going to do const, let's do log out. So that equals to our function here, and we can use log out or maybe sign out. I think sign out come from Firebase. Okay, come from this Firebase /out, and here we are going to put the out. Okay, come from the Firebase. Okay, so now we can just use this logout into the value here, and of course we can basically import that into the let's go to I think navbar, right? Let's go to component and then navbar. So in here I'm going to, let's grab the current user and also the logout. Let's say logout set equals to user out. Okay, just like that. And now if I click logout function, I need to run this logout function. Oh. When I click this button logout, I need to run this logout function. Then here I'm going to add on-click event, and when I click that, I need to run the handle logout, just like that. So now I'm going to create a function here. Let's say const handle logout set equals to, it should be async with function async, and then like so. And then in here I'm going to say try and catch again. Let's do catch. We grab the error, and then I'm going to console log the error. So let's say console log error. Okay, in here I'm going to await for the logout done, just like that. And basically I just want to showing this logout button when the current user have a value. So here I'm going to add condition, so let's cut that out, and I'm going to do if current user have a value, I'm going to render this button, but else let's put empty string. So now if I refresh, as you can see we have this logout button. When I click logout, it should be log me out. All right, but as you can see we have some some bug when I refresh this on the chat room. As you can see, it's back me to the login, and then after a couple seconds redirect me to the chat room. Okay, I don't want this happen basically. So let's go back to the authentication context here. What we can do is I'm going to create another state here. So let's do here, and I'm gonna give a name loading. So let's say loading. The function, it should be set loading, and also the value for the first time I'm gonna set that to, let's say, true. Okay, and down here, right here, I'm going to set the loading to false. Let's say set loading to false, right? And I just want to render these children when the loading is false. Okay, so I can say loading underscore here. That means if the loading false, we need to render these children. Okay, so now let's save this and let's try. If I refresh, as you can see, now we not redirect into the login page. Okay, look pretty good. All right, so next what we need to do is let's enable the Firebase Firestore. So let's go to the Firebase, and we need to create this Firebase database. Let's click that. Let's click this create database. For now I just want to start in test mode, so let's click test mode and click next. Right, and also for the Cloud Firestore location, I'm gonna click the Jakarta. All right, and enable that. Basically you can select anything you want here. Okay, so let's wait for that. All right, so now we can create the collection. So I'm gonna click start collection, and let's do messages. Okay, and I'm gonna click next, and for the document ID, let's auto ID here, and the fields, let's do text for now, and the value, I'm gonna say hello world, and click save. Now we should have this one field here, one document, right? So how that we can connect our app here with Firebase Firestore? What we can do is let's go to the documentation here and go to the Cloud Firestore. I think let's go to get started. All right, so what we need to do first is we need to import the get Firestore. So we can just copy this. Okay, we need to go back to the firebase.jsx. So we need to paste that in here. So now what we can do is create a variable called db, and we are going to initialize the get Firestore and put the app inside the get Firestore function. So here we can export that. We can say export like that. Okay, so now we can use this db. All right, so now let's close this. Let's go back to documentation, and what we need to do now, I'm going to looking for read data, but we are going to use real-time database. So let's go here, and I'm going to click the get real-time updated, and we are going to, let's scroll down here. What we are going to do is this one. All right, so let's just copy this. I think we can just copy this import and paste that into the chat box. Okay, we are gonna put that right here, and also for the unsubscribe here, we are gonna copy that, and basically we need to run that inside the use effect. So I'm gonna do use effect like so, and then it's going to be run in the first time the page reloads. So I'm gonna put the empty dependency, and let's paste the code right here, and I'm going to format the document. So here basically what we can do is the collection, it should be the db here, it should come from the Firebase, and the collection name, it should be messages. We can say messages, and we're gonna remove all this rule here. Okay, let's remove that. Just put like that for now, make it simple. And also we are running this use on snapshot. We put the query here, and we get the query snapshot here, and then we map through. Okay, this is basically messages. So we can see messages, and we grab individual document here and we push the value. So we can say message.push doc.data. So basically here, let's remove this. I just want to console log the doc.data. So I just want to see the doc.data. So let's try to save and let's go back here. And as you can see, we have text hello world here. All right. So if I add another document here, so let's do another document and I'm going to do text and the value, let's say hi. So I'm going to click save. And as you can see, we have two documents, right? So if I go back here and if I refresh, as you can see, we should be able to see two documents here, which is hello world and hi. So what we need to do basically is I'm going to push the, let's put object here like that. All right, and I'm going to add 3 dots here. So I'm going to do doc.data. Okay, and also I'm going to create one key, which is ID, and also I'm going to access the doc.id. Okay, so now this message will be have all the doc data and also have this ID here. So let's try to console log the messages. So I'm going to do console log messages. So if I save and let's take a look, we have two objects inside this array and we have the text and also the ID. All right, everything look perfectly fine. So down here, I'm going to return the unsubscribe. So I'm going to say return arrow function and I'm going to say unsubscribe here. So let's say unsubscribe. I'm going to create a state first called messages. So let's do that here. So let's say cons messages and also the function, which is set messages, so that it goes to use state. By default, it should be empty array. All right. So now what we can do here is I'm going to set the messages into the messages come from here. And I'm going to remove this message and we are going to map through these messages down here. So it should be E right here. So let's remove that. And let's try to see here. Right, we have the text here come from the database, right? This text here, but the name, it should be, we can access that. Let's go back to message. We can access the name with message dot display name, I think. Display name, like that. So let's just console log that. Console log the message. So let's see here. Oh yeah, I think we don't yet have the display name key in this database here. Okay, so what we need to do now is I'm going to add a document. So let's go back to the documentation here and I'm going to add a document. So let's do add data here. So let's scroll down and basically I'm going to use add doc function. So let's see. I think this one, right? We can use add document here and we get the collection. We put the DB here and the name of the collection. So I think we can just copy this. All right. And we are gonna go to the send messages. And in here, what we can do, so this function, it should be async await function. So I'm going to add async keyword in here. And basically down here, I'm going to use try and catch. So let's do try, and then down here catch. Okay, we grab the error, and then down here I just want to console log the error, just like that. So in this try here, I'm going to say cons. I'm going to get the display name come from the current user. So remember, we can get the current user come from the user out, right? So we can say cons, and then we grab the current user. Okay, the user, it should be uppercase. User set that equals to user out, right? You can put that like so, and then now we can destructuring the current user here, current user, and I'm gonna get the UID, and also the display name, and also the photo URL. All right, so down here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a wait keyword, and then I'm going to say add doc. Okay, come from the Firebase Firestore, and I'm going to put the collection here. Okay, just like we did it in here, just like we see in here. Okay, add doc and then collection and then db. Okay, the db here, let's put that. db come from the Firebase file and also the name of the collection. So in our case, it should be messages. Let's put messages. Okay, just like that. So now let's add a comma here, and I'm gonna put object, and in here we are going to set the text. Okay, the text, it should be the value, I think, come from this input here. So let's do text that equals to value, and also the name, it should be come from the display name. Okay, this one, wait, this one, and also for the avatar, I'm going to put the photo URL. Let's put it here. And also for the UID, let's set that equals to UID. And also I'm going to add the create add here. And I'm going to put the server timestamp come from the Firebase Firestore as well. Okay. All right, let's run the function like so. And also up here, I'm going to let's make a check here. Okay, if the value is empty, so I'm gonna do value.trim. Trim is basically value that will be remove the space. Okay, so I'm gonna do trim, and then here if is equal to empty, that's mean if user not typing anything in here, it should be showing error. If user just typing space, it should be showing error as well. So here the error, it should be just alert here, and it should be say enter valid message, and down here we need to say return. All right, so let's put a space here and hit enter, and as you can see we get this enter valid message alert. So now let's try to add a message down here. I'm gonna say hello there, and if I click enter, and as you can see we have hello there right here. And also when I refresh, as you can see in the console here, we have the avatar, create add, ID, name, text, and UID. Let's go back to the Cloud Firestore here, and basically we have 3 documents, right? So I'm gonna remove this document here. Let's remove that, and also this one, so I'm going to remove that as well. So now we just have this document here. Okay, and I'm going to looking for lorem ipsum. So let's click this, and I'm going to generate some text, and let's do generate lorem ipsum. I'm going to copy this, and let's paste that in here. Let's go back to here, paste that in here, and hit send. And as you can see, now we have 2 messages. All right, so now let's go back to the chat box here, and basically I'm going to let's order by the create add here. So I'm going to do order by, and I'm gonna put the created add. Okay, and also let's put comma, of course, in here. We don't get any warning. And also down here I'm going to add limit, so the limit should be 50 message, just like that. So I think we don't yet import the limit, so I'm going to import come from Firebase Firestore. All right, just make sure every time you're at order by or limit, just make sure the auto import is working, guys. So as you can see here, we import all the collection, query, on snapshot, order by, limit, etc. All right, so as you can see here, everything look perfectly fine. And what I'm gonna do now is let's go to message, and in here basically I'm going to render the, let's see, the avatar here. So let's copy the avatar, and I'm going to render that in here. So I'm going to do message.avatar, right? as you can see now, we have this image here. Okay, I hope you can see it. And also the display name, I'm going to remove this display name to just name, and we are going to get this name right here. All right, cool. And what we need to do next is I'm going to log out and I'm going to log in with another Google account so you can see what I want to change in this code here. Basically, I'm going to change the chat star here. But let's see, I'm going to log in with Chandev. So as you can see, the enter me is on the left, right? But if I want to add another text here, call maybe hi, if I hit enter, I need to this if user login with this account, which is Chandev here, it should be rendered in the right. So what we can do is in here, I'm going to first use the current user. So let's do const, and then we grab the current user, come from the user out. Okay, and here I'm going to add some condition. So basically I'm going to use backtick here. So let's do backtick. And inside in here, I'm going to just remove this chat star, and I'm going to, let's say if the message dot id, not id but uid, is equal to current id, current user dot uid. Okay, we need to use the chat n. So I'm gonna do chat n here, chat dash n, but else I'm gonna use the chat dash star. Okay, just like that. Now if I save, and we have something wrong, I think here. All right, so we have some problem here. Basically we need to wrap everything inside the curly braces like this one. Okay, so now if I save, and as you can see, if I log in with the Chandev account, it should be showing the text into the right side. So I'm gonna say hello, it should be in the right side. But if I log out and I'm going to log in with my enter me account, it should be my text, it should be on the right, and the Chandev tag, it should be on the left. All right, as you can see here, that's pretty cool. Hello bro, what's up? All right, so I think we're done guys with this project. Oh yeah, just the last thing that I forget is basically the scroll. As you can see here, it's not automatically scroll when I add new message. So let's fix that. So what we can do is let's go back to chatbox, this chatbox component, and I'm going to add a div here. So let's put a div here, and I'm going to add a ref. So first I'm going to create let's create const. Okay, variable call, I'm gonna call this messages and ref. Let's say messages and ref set equals to use ref. Okay, the use ref is basically hooks come from React. Okay, and also I'm gonna put the messages and ref right here. It's pretty simple basically. Up here I'm going to create a function called, let's say scroll to bottom set equals to it should be a row function, and here I'm gonna say message and ref dot current dot scroll into view, and I'm gonna put the behavior here. Let's say behavior, and I'm gonna set that to smooth. Okay, so I'm going to run this scroll to bottom function inside the use effect. So I'm gonna say use effect, and then this use effect here will run every time the message change. So I'm going to put the message as a dependency, and in here I'm going to run the scroll to bottom function. So let's put it like so. Oh wait, it should be comma here, so let's remove that, and it should be comma. And let's try, I'm going to paste the content here. So let's just copy this, and I'm going to paste that in here, and if I hit enter, as you can see, it's auto scroll, right? That's pretty cool. But as you can see, the navbar here is not fixed. So let's go back to the navbar component, and I'm going to add the fix here. So let's do position to fix, right? And also the Z index, I'm going to do, let's say Z index, let's do 10 here. All right, I think it's worked. perfectly nice. So I think we're done, guys, with this project, and hopefully you can implement the real-time database with Firebase Firestore in your project. And yeah, that's gonna be it. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the very next video.